Can you talk us how you manage running a business with 10 locations, 160 staff, along with being an ultra endurance athlete?
Yeah.
How do you manage those two?
Well, practically speaking, I don't think I believe that if you're fit and healthy, you're better at running a business. And I think if you've got a pursuit outside of your business, you're also better at running the business, I think. So that's kind of my excuse, my practical way of looking at it. But as far as why I do it or how I do it, I prioritize it. I love ultramarathon. I love trail running. I'm drawn to the mountains. I feel like I'm drawn to the trails. And the feeling of when you're fit enough to just keep running up and down and trails and rocks, and you can just keep going. That feeling of being strong in the mountains and just sort of free, it's addictive. I just love, I can just picture it now, just running in the mountains and just I can just keep going.
Yeah.
And there's I don't know where that emotion comes from. Is it ego because I'm the one who's putting the work to get that fit and that makes me feel proud about doing it, or is it just the endorphin rush that comes from it? And then I love the feeling of finishing, like when you finish a really tough ultra marathon that's 100 kilometers or 100 miles or whatever it is, and the pain of achieving that when you're out there, it's damn, it's hard. It's so tough to finish like that.
Everything in your body's saying stop,
I mentioned Mount Fuji 100 miles I did a few weeks ago, and that's the hardest ultramarathon, one of the hardest things I've ever done. It's definitely the hardest physical thing I've ever done. It was incredibly tough. But when you go through the finish line, the endorphin rush that stays with you for 1 or 2 weeks. It's just an incredible
feeling. Along with the physical pain. I mean,
which is but also the physical pain. But if you run 100 miles, you can eat you can just eat and eat and eat. And it's just a great feeling.
All right, let's pause for a second in here and dive into the head of Scotty. You know, I'm sure everyone in their heads right now is going, does he Goggins it like David? Who's going to carry the boat as you're running around Fiji 80 kilometers into the race? Where do you go? How do you get through? Because I was just saying, everything in your physical body is saying, you got to stop this.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Whereas this little top 2 inches is saying, no, I'm going to just keep going.
You run 160 kilometers, or this 168 kilometers. That your brain trying to get you to stop starts at 20 kilometers. Like it starts early. And the thoughts of like how many you run out that distance, how many times do you battle with yourself about like pulling out, like enough is enough. You must have those conversations with yourself 50 times. You really do.
Yeah.
And it's
tell us about it.
It's a psychological. I'm not sure battle is the right word, but like one side of you versus the other side of you, sort of. It's a psychological game. It really is. You've got to sort of know yourself, and so what I did with that, with for this every particular race, what I do is I go through. I try and think through ways that's going to motivate me. What will motivate me to keep going? The Hong Kong 100 in January this year, my motivation for the first 50 kilometers was just relax and enjoy it. I just walk, take it super slow, get to the checkpoints and just eat, just enjoy it. Just don't be competitive. And then once I got to the 60-kilometer mark, I thought to myself, I might be able to get under 16 hours. And then that became a motivation. My motivation was to get under 16 hours, like run out and get a. So in the 100 mile and the 100 miler, that was my first 100 miler. So my goal was just to finish. So when I was 20 kilometers in and my brain starts saying, hey, Scotty, this is just, your legs are already in pain. You've got, another 140 kilometers to go. You're in pain already. Can you keep going that long? Your brain's saying this to you. I thought to myself, well, I'm just going to get to the 100-kilometer mark. And then, and if I can get to the 100-kilometer mark, then what I will tell myself is, you've run 100 kilometers already. If you quit now, then you've wasted that 100 kilometers.
Brilliant.
So, but first you've got to get to that 100-kilometer mark.
Yeah.
And the other thing that motivated me that particular race was, my friends were running the 70-kilometer version. And the 70-kilometer version started the day after the 180, the day after the 100-miler started. But I ran through where they started. So I gave myself the competitive goal was to go through where they started before they started.
Yeah.
So that I could be ahead of them, and have the challenge of see how far I can go before they catch me. So that was the mental games I played played in my head. And then once I passed the 100-kilometer mark, what got me to the end was I just kept telling myself that you've run this far. If you pull out, you've wasted. Like when I got to 120 kilometers, I told myself, you've run 120 kilometers. If you pull out now, then you've wasted that 120 kilometers.
Yeah.
That was, and then one other thing was pride. You finish some of these races, and you get like a finisher's jersey, a finisher's jacket, and I wanted the Mount Fuji 100-mile finisher's vest.
The carrot at the end of the road.
That's right. Yeah. And when you finish and you get that vest, you wear it with pride. I did this,
Yeah. I went through a lot of discomfort to get this, everyone.
That was incredibly tough. That was the toughest one I've ever done, because ultra marathons are a warts and all sport. That took me 37 hours. So it's the first time.
Mate, did you sleep at all?
No. It's the first time that I.
With any hallucinations?
Yeah. Yeah. So I started 5 p.m. on the Friday, ran through Friday night, all day Saturday, all through the Saturday night, and into the Sunday morning at 6 a.m. Sunday morning, around about. And so at about 1 a.m. in the second night, where I hadn't had any sleep for this is the second night of no sleep and running, I started to get hallucinations. Yeah. I was running up this trail, and it sounds really weird, but on my right-hand side, about 50 meters up, there's Ronald McDonald was sitting on the side of the trail.
Surprised with that, Scotty?
Ronald McDonald was just sitting, and then as I got closer, it wasn't Ronald McDonald, it was one of the other runners who had stripy socks on and was just sitting there, and then and it was all, so I think, and it was all kind of, I felt like I was in one of those movies where someone's tripping and it's all misty, and I was a little bit dizzy, and then I saw one of the runners, and I thought it was a white ghost climbing his back. That's honestly what I saw. Unless you've had this experience, you don't really, it's hard to understand or imagine, but you absolutely have these trippy hallucinations. But what the white ghost climbing this runner's back was, he was just putting his white backpack on. There's one time where I thought I saw a lady just sitting there leaning against a tree, and then some smoke disappeared. And so.
And are you, in those moments, are you cognizant enough to go, mate, this is just a hallucination? Yeah, forget about it. Left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot. But drop back into
you are cognizant enough. Yeah. You actually laugh at it yourself. When I got to Ronald McDonald and he's just another runner, you giggle to yourself. You're like, oh, that's funny, And then in the final morning, I'm running down the mountain, about 3 a.m. 4 hours to go, and I thought to myself, oh, there's some soft leaves there. Why don't I just go and lie in them and have a nap? So tempting just to sit down.
Jesus, in the desert, mate.
Put your head down.
Yeah.
But you also know that if you do that, you might not wake up for 7 hours. Like you might just, and then you've wasted the whole thing. So, so that was. Oh, but then one of the other really tough things about that particular race, as I said before, it's a warts and all sport. I actually got diarrhea. So for about.
You're taking the goose. What are you supporting yourself with?
That race, I decided to use. Maybe this is a mistake I made, but I'm not sure if it's a mistake or not. But in these ultra marathons, there's aid stations. Sort of once every 10, 20 kilometers, there's an aid station, and you can either choose to carry your own fuel, your own calories, or you can use what's at the aid station. using what's at the aid station means you don't have to carry the weight. So I chose to use what's at the aid station. So I used their gels. And then I had some powder on my own, but I had a weak stomach the day before. The day before the race started, I felt a bit like wheezy in the stomach. So maybe I had some food poisoning from what was in Japan, what I ate in Japan. I'm not sure. But but trying to run, that distance in the mountains and at night with diarrhea it just slowed me.
I can imagine.
It was tough. Yeah. So, and sadly enough, lesson learned. It didn't carry, you can get those tablets when you've got diarrhea to
Imodium, isn't that?
yeah, the Imodium, yeah, it helps. I didn't have any of them. The first aid people didn't have any of them, so I just struggled through. I kind of wondered to myself, how did I keep going through that? Because it was not.
Will you do that one again? Will you do it again?
Yeah, I've already told my coach I want to do it next year because I can do better. I did it in 37 hours. I believe I can do it a lot better than 37 hours. I kind of feel like it's a waste if I don't do it again because I know the course now. I know the aid stations. I'm much better understanding of the race. So I feel like I can go back and do a better job. Yeah.
And then parallels from your athletic career to your corporate career. Any parallels that you found along the way?
Oh yeah, there's got to be parallels.
How about this? Can I ask you another way? Can you, in the best way that you can, quantify the success of FinePrint? And then I'm going to ask you to quantify the success for trail running. But let's go FinePrint first. If you were to try to quantify the success.
I think it's there's no you do need to be a bit relentless. I think you need to have a bit of a relentless pursuit.
Yeah,
and a deep, almost like a conviction of a lot of what FinePrint is and comes from is, and a lot of the sort of not necessarily arguments, but sometimes where I need to be strong in meetings and insist that things are done a certain way, comes from a deep conviction is who and what FinePrint is, the model, the product, the experience, and I'm very adamant about that, and that comes from a deep conviction. So I think there's that. The FinePrint I think is successful. I hope it's successful because we've stayed true to. It's not just all about the money. It's not just all about business. It's about certain ideals and things and things that we want to, the community we want to build, the flavor we want people to experience, the atmosphere we want people to experience, the community. All that is really important. And I really wholeheartedly believe that if you don't keep that, then business will decline. And I think that's happened in other businesses where a new CEO has come along and he's been more commercial and corporate and lost the heart of the business, and eventually it goes downhill. So that's really important to me. So it's a relentless sort of pursuit to hold on to who we are and what we're about. So I think that's
so that's a collective, and then from an endurance athlete,
but I think it's the same. Actually, it's the same.
Relentless
It's
pursuit for you.
To
get over the line.
It's what do you call it? Finishing an ultra marathon is just, you need to be a little bit just stubbornly, relentlessly keep going.
Yeah. That perfectionist nature would help there as well, wouldn't it? Have to. As far as the prior preparation and crossing your eyes and
crossing your eyes, crossing your T's and dotting your eyes. But absolutely. The perfectionist nature massively helps in the preparation.
Yeah.
So the preparation, you need to be sort of calorie counting and what gels am I going to use and what powder am I going to use and what shoes am I going to run and what is the weight of all my gear. And that and the sort of, what am I going to eat when? You need to, if you plan that all out, it helps a lot.
Yeah.
I've even had, when I've had people supporting me in races, sometimes some races will allow there to be someone at the aid station supporting you, and I'll prepare everything for them, and I'll write a list of things and give them little notes and so on and so forth. And one of the things I tell them is, listen to pre-race Scotty, don't listen to race Scotty. So when Scotty's been running 80 kilometers for seeing Ronald McDonald in White Ghost, just don't listen to him. The Scotty you knew 12 hours ago, listen to him.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.